Hello and welcome to another activity here in our Google Exploration Classroom. We want to quickly talk about one of the benefits of using Google Chrome as a part of the Google Tools experience. Google Chrome is a good browser for all uses, but particularly when working with other Google tools. I mean, it makes sense. Google builds one thing, Google builds another thing. Makes sense their things would work well together. But Google Chrome just gives us all kinds of advantages that help us in lots of ways. For a moment, we want to focus on one of those advantages, and that is the ability to add extensions. A lot of browsers let us do this, but a lot of browsers have a much smaller library of extensions. It's not quite as easy to add them, and they don't give themselves over quite so easily to educational purposes. But Google Chrome has done that. So when I talk about Google extensions, I am talking about these things right up here in the top corner of my browser. All these little buttons that I have on my browser that you don't have on your browser, but we're going to put some there for you. And the way to do that is to go all the way over to the other side of the page when you have a blank tab open, and you will see the little colored 9 dots and apps. And that's what we want to do. We are going into the Google Apps Store. And when you click here, here's the web store. And you go in and you search for the type of extension that you want. And that's really what you want to be searching for, extensions. Make sure extensions is highlighted in blue. You're not searching for themes. Those are just pretty colors. And you can certainly do that if you want, but that's not what we're talking about today. We are looking for extensions. You type in the extension that you want. Let's say you find one that you like, and you just click the big blue Add to Chrome button, and it will pop it right in there. And it will show up on your browser up here. Once you do that, then those little buttons will show up no matter when you log into your Google Chrome account, because you're syncing from one computer to another. So if you log on at home, they're going to be there. If you log on at work, they're going to be there. On a laptop, a desktop, you'll always have your extensions with you. So that's how to add them. Let's quickly talk about a few that you might want to add just so you can begin to see some of the advantages. I'm going to actually start over here on the right-hand end. This first one is called Extensity. That's one that just lets you manage your extensions, because eventually you may have 20 or 30 extensions, and you can come in and turn some off and on. This is just changing whether or not they show up at the moment, because in some cases my extensions will run all the way across the top of the page, especially if you're looking at it on a laptop. You don't have as much space there to have a lot of extensions all going at once. So you can turn off things that don't necessarily get used all the time. There are some things that I keep on all the time, and ad block is one of them. Ad block is always working in the background to block unwanted advertising. For example, I'm going to come over here to this CNN tab, and I'm going to say, let's read this story about the 3 California wildfires. And when I click it, you can see that number start to add up. 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's quickly blocking advertising that wants to show up on my page. It's up to 19 now. It's not going to block every ad. This thing from NerdWallet, well, let's stop this guy. This thing from NerdWallet, that's paid content. But they're paying CNN to place that ad in a different way. But some of the ads that wanted to show up are blocked. It blocked 20 advertisements on this page. Now I just installed ad block in my Google Classroom profile yesterday. Since yesterday, it's blocked 324 ads. So it's doing a pretty good job of eliminating some of the pop-up things that would be on my screen that would get in the way when I'm browsing. Now, you will come to some websites that will pop up a big warning in the middle of the screen that says, please whitelist us. We detect that you're using an ad blocker. In most cases, you can just click past that and keep going. They're just asking you nicely. There are a few websites that will require you, that will require you to turn off your ad blocker before you can read the page. But don't do it. Don't turn off your ad blocker. You can come up and choose don't run on this page, and it will let that page load that you want to read. It will still be running on all the other pages on CNN's site It will still be running on all the other tabs you have open in the background. You don't want to completely turn off your ad blocker. So that's a great thing about AdBlock. Get that one installed, use it. Next one over is saving to Google Drive. I'm going to open up a blog post here, and you will see this blog post coming up in your next lesson about Google Drive. You're reading a website or a blog post, and it's a great one, and you want to save it right into your Google Drive so you can share it with other folks later. But there's not an easy way to do that with any of the tools that Google gives you built into Chrome. There's no pull-down menu up here that makes that easy for you. You could save it as a bookmark, but you can't save it right into your Google Drive. And so that's why you have this extension. When you click that extension, it scans the page for you, pops up and tells you that it's saving it to Google Drive. When you're all done, it's going to say, is that the name that you want it to have? Would you like to rename it something that makes more sense? And then close. And if I go into my Google Drive, I will see right down here, it has added that blog post for me. Now it's a document that I can open and edit. I can open and share with other people. I can include it in a slideshow presentation. Now it's mine. I can do with it as I wish. Moving across up here, as we talk about Google Drive more and more, we're going to see that you can exchange Word documents, Excel documents, slideshows back and forth between Google Drive and your computer pretty effortlessly. You can't do that with PDFs. So I'm going to tell you to load this one. It's going to be on a handout, so don't worry about remembering. It's called Cami PDF and Document Annotation. Just get it up there. It's going to be helpful to you later. Same with this one right next to it, Print Friendly and PDF. Let's go back to this one for a moment. If I wanted to print this, it's going to print a pretty clean page, but it's going to print it with lots of black ink in the background. If I wanted to print this one, it's going to print all this stuff along the side. How can you make that an easier thing to print? Print Friendly tries to do that. It tries to isolate the key portion of the website that you're looking at. And it can take a few seconds with a page like a CNN page. But it finds the article and lets you print just the article without all the pictures, without the videos, without the advertising. You can print it. You can turn it into a PDF. You can email it to a friend. If you need to see the text larger when you print it, you can boost the text size. If there's graphics in the way, you can reduce the graphic size. This can make it easier when you print it out to share with a student. You can really focus them on the text of the article. This is a great way to separate out meaningful content from the distractions that you see on the page, from things that take up extra ink when you print. And if you're generating content to be used with a student, you can really focus the student in on the key parts of the information. All right, I'm going to click out of that. I'm going to go to the next one, which is an awesome app. Well, okay, you'll see why I'm laughing in a minute. I'm making a pun that you don't know. It's called Awesome Screenshot. And I was going to say, this is an awesome extension. And it really is. And here's what Awesome Screenshot lets you do. We all know how to take a screenshot. That's easy to do. But when you make a screenshot, you can only screenshot what you can see. Awesome Screenshot lets you capture the visible part of the page or an area that you've selected, but it also lets you capture the entire page. So I'm going to click it, and it's going to scroll through the article, and it will do a screenshot of my entire page. But before it saves that screenshot, it opens it in a second page. Now, this is my Awesome Screenshot page, and now I've got an article that the kids are going to read, and I can edit it. I can draw. I can annotate and say, make sure you know your source. Let's do a square. Make sure you know what causes fires to spread rapidly. I can draw arrows to things. I want you to make sure, sorry, my bad there. Let's undo that. I want to select an arrow and say, make sure you know where the fires are happening. I can do all kinds of things to annotate. Even if there's text that I don't want them to see, I can come over here and just blur that stuff out. I don't want you paying any attention to this stuff. I can get rid of that. I can highlight text. How many people are being affected? 20 million people. All of these annotation tools are at my disposal. If you see on the annotation bar, there are 4 tools with a slight gray background. Those are premium features. You have to pay for those, which I don't. These are enough for me. But you can change the color of your annotation. You can change how thick or thin these lines are so that you can make really thick, let's go back over here. You can make a really thick border around things. You can always undo whatever it is that you've put on there if you realize you've made some mistakes. When you're all done, you click Done, and it saves your screenshot with your annotations. So once again, you can really guide students in their learning. You can also guide other professionals. You may just need to draw their attention to key parts of information. That's a great way to do it. So awesome screenshot. Well, it's awesome. All right, a couple of final tools to use with students. I'm going to select a little bit of text here, and I don't know how this will sound to you because of microphones and recording and so forth, but when I select that text and come up here and click on this little Select and Speak button, it will read it to me.
A series of fast-moving wildfires are racing up and down California early Friday, destroying thousands of structures in their paths and forcing thousands...
All right, I'm going to stop her. Hopefully you could hear that through the microphone here, but it reads to you. I can right-click on it, and with the options, I can click past all of this stuff, and I can change my settings. I can have a male or a female voice. I can change the speed a little bit. There's not a lot of settings to change, but that's enough. Mostly it's the speed more than anything else. You want it at a speed that's appropriate for your students. But for students who can comprehend, but perhaps reading is difficult, having them listen to the article is a great advantage. Maybe they even read along with the article, or maybe they just sit and listen, but you're providing some good differentiation in how you are presenting information to students. And the last one we're going to talk about, right next to that, a picture of our little rocket ship. It's called Mercury Reader. And again, this is about getting rid of all of the distracting content on the page. The student sits down, clicks Mercury Reader, and now they're seeing just the article. No advertising, no links to other videos. They only see the graphics that are a part of the article. They don't have any video at the top that starts playing by itself. Once again, a great way to help students who may be highly distractible, a great way to focus people in. Now, you can't overlap these. I can't bring a student to this screen and then choose to have it read to them. Those pieces don't overlap because the speak and select and speak won't recognize this modified page. So you're making some choices. You can't stack these on top of each other, but you know your student, you know your audience, you know what will help them understand the information better. So is it going to be a screenshot of the page with some key annotations that you've made guiding them to certain learning? Is it having them listen to the thing read aloud? Or is it a matter of just cutting out all the distractions so that they can read it themselves, but in a much less distracted environment? All right, there's a review of some handouts. There's also going to be, it is not a review of handouts, it is a review of some extensions. But there will be a handout attached to this lesson that will give you the names of some of these extensions, plus some others, so that you can begin to build your extension library. And as we go through the class, you will certainly come upon cases where I will toss in an extra extension or two along the way. Hope that helps, and have a great day.